Peace and welcome everyone to the ways of walking as a human right. So we're just going to move. I want you to move with me and notice. I want you to move with me and absorb. Just notice the sounds, the speed, the environment. Notice the buildings and the sky and the trees, the different colored cars. If you can see people in the cars, notice them. I am walking on a small highway, the 46, I believe it is. It's a small highway / commercial road, popular street with practical destinations. This is a very common, we've got an old school New Jersey diner, so I am in New Jersey, outside of the town Boonton and outside of the town of Denville. I want you to just absorb all these different things just for another minute. I want you to imagine wheelchair, being on a stroller, a wheelchair. I want you to imagine having your kids with you, infants, babies, toddlers. I want you to imagine kids in middle school and high school on their way to school. I want you to imagine older adults, elders, senior citizens, wisdom of generations, aging in place. I want you to imagine rain and snow, nighttime, a cloudless sky where the sun is beating down. Small reservoirs of water that cars splash through. So I am intentionally walking on a road that you can experience and feel that has a lot of gaps for moving the way we're made to, a lot of disconnect, a lot of real estate that's been prioritized for the automobile. I often speak of it as a paving over so much of how we're designed to interact with each other in a social way, in a communal way, in a we belong to each other way, but also a way of connecting more to our sky and to the natural world, connecting more to our own bodies. And so our theme, walking as a human right, moves us into what I would describe as the most equity, justice, violent, even probably anger / human rights related invitation of all of our 12 weeks. That the crisis we face related to transportation as an access point to the future of humanity, to the future of human connection, human understanding, human belonging, that if we continue to default our existence inside of artificial boxes that separate us from what's real about you, what's real about me, that separate us from the natural world, if we continue to blindly go into most of our existence, or to see success as existence within these separate auto boxes where we can control temperature, we can remain separate and feed a sense of being separate or superior to those who are outside of our boxes. When we feed those things all day, any given day, all the things we miss and all the pain and tension and chaos that comes out of when we start describing each other or to ourselves. That where the likes of Facebook, literally the likes and dislikes, where the online environment, where the news environment, where the television and radio and email space, where all of that starts to define our sense of other for us, where these things that remain so separate from actual human connection start to define how we believe the best or the worst in one another, how we trust and engage the environment, how we even know how to begin to protect and care for the environment. So these really complicated questions, and tracing them, connecting them, tying them to friends, beloveds, peers, we have a right, and I'm going to say that just a little bit louder for y'all, for those in the back. We have a right to move the way we are made to move, so that we can honor and understand and cherish and nurture and go deeper to be in relationship to one another and to this planet. We have a right to be in our bodies, to breathe deeper. We have a right to hold eye contact a little bit longer. We have a right to walk by someone who is walking by us and smile and lean into what their experience might actually be like. We have a right to lean and rest under the shade of a tree, to understand and consider and protect the rights of our trees. We have a right to not always be on hot pavement. We have a right to be upright and not frumped and sitting and just completely entrenched into our mind and our thoughts. We have a right to be vibrating at an unhurried human pace. Greetings. Small clip here. That's a bus stop. No bench, no covering. Just pointing that out. I'm on a shoulder. No real place to walk. So, quick little frame on something like this. When we think about walking as a human right, the complexity, so for the last hour, 0 people by foot, 0, not one. About an hour and a half ago, I saw a woman who was clinging, I'll try and include the photo in this, but she was clinging onto a street sign that was next to a bus stop, just outside of a retirement community. So for many reasons, she's moved herself out of this secluded, almost fenced off, gated space to be connected, probably going to Main Street, Morristown. So our right to see each other, to be with each other, to nurture each other, to listen to each other, to participate more naturally with each other rather than just on fixed meeting times and cliques and clubs, people we agree with all the time. We have to intermix when we move this way. We have to actually have conversations related to how we differ on topics and what we believe. We actually have to blend, and we can't just stay inside of these ideas and postures and positions. So it's always so discouraging to not see anyone out. And it's always affirmation to me related to this crisis of walking as a human right. We have a right to be blending more, whoever and however. And so all these fences and private property and road paving over all the car, like, it's not helping us. Friends, beloveds, it's not. You know it deep down, you know it. And so how can we, in our own unique and beautiful and meaningful way, move into more relationship, move into more connection, move into more of how we are made to be with one another in this planet. So, all the things. Peace from rural New Jersey. Cheers. Greetings. So I am in the Northeast Park Hill neighborhood of Denver, walking in the spray of residential streets and where it meets commercial, a lot of industry and commercial buildings. So I just want you to observe where I am right now. This is the most northwestern point on the northern side of the Northeast Park Hill neighborhood. It goes a little further west along 35th Street, just south of me. But the unique part, or the reason I am inviting you into this, is that this is the northwesternmost, or one of the most westernmost access points to a new rail station that was put in the city, the 40th and Colorado rail station. So you've got this pretty populated neighborhood, well, really populated residential neighborhood. And this is a very, you can tell, lots of bikes, pedestrians, people have just kind of meandered their way through here for years. It's not really clear if it's private or public. You've got lots of industry, lots of construction, lots of development. And so the purpose here for walking as a human right is when we think about the right to be walking, the right to be moving by foot, our right to not only do this and to support this and to invest in this as a safe, comfortable, and connected experience, but to even just amplify and mobilize and move us into, for those that have the choice to be driving and walking, to not be ongoing supporting environments that don't put walking into the center or even into consideration when thinking about how we build places and spaces. So a new station over here, plenty of practical trips on Colorado Boulevard, back on 35th, popular transit corridor all throughout. You notice on the curb there's a solid straight curb cut, not a ramp. And you'll notice right here, you get sort of a ramp, but not really. And you've got an attached sidewalk on both sides, which pushes pedestrians right on the road. There's no space between or nothing to break. So I'm pointing this out just to show you, when we think about our theme, walking as a human right. This is the 40th and Colorado train station. It's a newer train station. I had in an earlier video shown a little more from the side of the neighborhood that's on the other side of these apartments, how all the challenges in accessing the train station. So this is actually right off the train. So people are coming out on this sidewalk, getting to wherever they need to go if they're living up. That's public housing. But here's the thing I'm trying to point out, is the crossing. So people have to wait here to discern, and we're not seeing it right now, but there's lots of semi-trucks coming around here going to all the industrial destinations on this side. You'll see one here coming in. And so it can be really stressful, especially at night, given rain, dark, nighttime, all the other things, families, kids, slower pace, off balance. I mean, if you're able-bodied and you can jump around pretty quickly, then it's not that big a deal, but it is an issue if we want to really encourage. So a newer train station, And when we think about safe access, right outside of where the station was located. So this just speaks to all the complicated relationships. State of Colorado, this is a state highway. Transit department, here in Denver we call it RTD, Regional Transportation District. City of Denver, local streets that are connecting to the state highways, which is Colorado. So you got private developers. This is a community developer, Urban Land Conservancy. That's public housing. So you've got all these different competing relationships that are so often not talking to each other enough to understand. Let's understand what the walking experience is like getting to this brand new station that we're all publicly investing in. And so when we think about the human right to engage our environments, it's helpful to think about and to consider and to learn about and to be connected to these systems that support, maintain, invest, budget, and just basically like give permission to this, what feels like, depending on where you live and where you are, an endless horizon of development where earth is being extracted, places are being built, but what regulations or what goals or what visions or who's making decisions on how places that will impact public health, public connection, public community building, all these different things, transportation obviously. And so private developers as one category, how are they invited, educated, brought into these things? When you think about your government, your local government, and that can be rural, that can be medium town, that can be city, urban. You look at your public works department that actually implements whatever's being planned. So they're the ones that go out with the concrete trucks and build the sidewalks and put it all together. The urban planners or town planners or community planners are the ones that go in and come up with a community plan that actually that take on best practices. Hopefully, maybe it's really dependent on the planners and on the influence of the public and the cities themselves and the towns themselves. So this is this small portion is I'm making this small video as a way of connecting a little bit of what you're going to see on your checklist for your walking assignment. That as you imagine walking on a street or around your neighborhood, thinking about practical trips. So I'm trying to get to the bus stop. I'm trying to get to a rail station, as we're doing here. I'm trying to get to the grocery store. I'm trying to get to the post office. Or imagining where a lot of those practical destinations are. If you're in a smaller town or a medium-sized town, usually some of those are clustered together. And so going to those environments and walking them and thinking about access. How do people access these by foot? How do they get here by bus? Not everyone has a car. Not everyone can afford a car. Not everyone it's not legal for everyone to be driving a car because of disability or because of any number of violations. And so there's that, which is such an important central reality. And then there's this horizon of, okay, now maybe I have a car, but what if I don't want to be driving the damn thing all the time? What if I don't want my kids to constantly grow up inside of windshields and behind traffic lights? So what about imagining a future that is more connected to our body and to the places we live? So all those things, imagining all those things revolving around a 1 or 2 block or a 1 or 2 mile radius close to where you live or close to practical destinations that are near where you live or work is a part of this invitation. So be mindful, be open, have tons of grace on your capacity to do this or to hold space for this. Just be, if nothing else, be opened to see and absorb and witness what is possible and or what gets in the way when we think about walking as a human right, when we think about pedestrian dignity, when we think about honoring how we're made to move, the way we are made to move, and what small ways, taking photos, connecting with our local planners, organizing around a specific intersection, anything that you might be able to do. And if nothing else, having an awareness and an intention to educate others, take others out on walks, vote in certain ways towards certain initiatives that help to improve these environments, and so on and so forth. So be encouraged, be invited. Let's move into this together as people who are yearning and are curious about how we deepen and widen this connection for ourselves and for all the beautiful beloveds around us. So peace to each of you as you embark on walking as a human right. Peace, safety, openness, ground, witness. Cheers from Denver.